Kick-off 9 minutes away. This is the British and Irish Lions versus the Western Force, live on Talksport. It's night time here in Perth. The lights are dimmed and kick-off is not far away. The first match of this tour in Australia. The Lions aiming for their first win after losing to Argentina in Dublin. Before the teams arrive, let's get a recap of the team news with your commentator, Andrew McKenna.
Well, Andy Farrell makes 13 changes from the side that was beaten by Argentina. Only Tadhg Beirne and Sione Tuipulotu remain in the starting lineup. So it's Pierre Schoeman, Dan Sheehan and Tadhg Furlong up front today. Scott Cummings and Joe McCarthy are in behind them. Tadhg Beirne, Josh van der Fleer and Henry Pollock make up the back row of the forwards. The half-backs, Thomas Williams and Finn Russell, Sione Tuipulotu and Gary Ringrose are the centres today. James Lowe is on the left wing, Mac Hansen on the right, Elliot Daly at fullback. On the bench for the Lions, Ronan Kelleher, Andrew Porter and Will Stewart are the front row replacements. Ollie Chesham and Jack Conan the other forwards, with Alex Mitchell, Hugh Jones and Marcus Smith. For the Western Force, well, they have some of their Australia squad back available for them. Nick Champion de Crespigny was released back, as was Nick White and Ben Donaldson late on in the day. But the Lions are going to be expected to win this one handily. They have never lost against the Western Force or Western Australia, as they were previously known, and there'll be very long odds on that happening today.
And alongside Macca is the former Lion, Ben Kay. Ben, can I get you to cast your mind back to the first time you wore the Lions jersey? What's it like for these players? There's a number of debutants in this team tonight. When you look down on your chest and you see that badge, does it all kind of start sinking in?
Yeah, it's an incredible moment, and I'm not overly superstitious, but I remember my first opportunity leaving, putting on that famous red jersey for as long as possible, savouring that moment of looking back to sitting on the sofa with my dad watching Lions tours in the past, and what a big moment that is for any player. So it's a huge boost to you. Obviously you have to keep emotions in check with making sure that you go out and perform, but it's something that every player should remember for a long time and make sure they enjoy tonight.
And how do the players get the balance between this ultimately being about the team and the performance and winning, and then I'm sure also having in the back of their mind, well, I want to get myself selected for the Test Series and I want to have a really strong individual performance?
A big challenge for those players will be not going out to make mistakes or not make mistakes. If you do that, you've been selected for what you can do. So if you think, well, I don't want to make any mistake, you have to go out and prove that all those things that have got you that red jersey is why you're there. Within all that, you have to play within the framework, and you have to be seen to be someone that is going to play how Andy Farrell wants each position to play, that how you slot in, how you make the lives of those around you better, how you make the players alongside you perform at their best capability. So it's just a little bit about balance, but it's about not going into your shells. But the atmosphere is unbelievable. It's a huge 60,000 seater stadium, very different to other stadiums that rugby players play in, because it's a big Aussie rules oval, so cricket field size, so you're in a different environment. It boosts you playing on the other side of the world and thinking, wow, what an opportunity, I've got to take it.
Yeah, do you know what though? It doesn't feel, I don't think, quite as far away as I was maybe expecting. I wonder whether the MCG, because it's such a bigger stadium, might feel like that. But even though it is that kind of Aussie rules cricket bowl, the fans, I think, still feel pretty close to the action here. And the lights are dim, the pre-match light show is going on as both of the teams are read out. To go back to the selection thing, Ben, is that where the coaches come in as well, in terms of the kind of culture that they can cultivate on this tour? Because Lions history is littered with examples of players that pretty quickly get stuck in that midweek side. So it's up to the coaches to keep everyone on the same page.
Yeah, it is. It's about bonding the players together. It's about making sure that those who aren't involved today, A, they feel part of it, but B, they're doing everything they can in terms of their training during the week to make sure that these other players that are gunning for the same Test jersey get the best possible preparation. So bonding that group together, everyone wants to go into a Lions environment and be a good person, and they want to come away with it with a load of new mates from countries that they've never really mixed with before. That is definitely in everyone's mind. You wouldn't be on the tour if you weren't, but you have to actually deliver with it as well. And probably the people that are good team players, that's a massive boost and a tick against your name, those that can bring out the best around them. And there are players that go on tour nowhere near a Lions squad and end up being one of the players of the series. So there are definite opportunities for those that potentially might see them at the moment as not number one pick to get into that squad and shine.
Well, the teams I can see on the monitor in front of me are going through their huddles down in the dressing rooms, the final words being exchanged. The Lions are down under, 12 years on from a series which resulted in a famous victory. How will Andy Farrell's men fare in 2025? We are about to find out. Their first tour game on Australian soil. It's the British and Irish Lions playing the Western Force in Perth. It's enough from me. Let me hand you over to your commentary team, the former Lion Ben Kay and your commentator Andrew McKenna.
Thank you, Alfie. Yep, we're ready to go then. First game on Aussie soil for this tour. 2025 up and running in Dublin. And the players are actually walking through an area. It's a bit like the Stonex Stadium, if you've been to Saracens, and certainly the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium as well. There's an area where the players walk out from the dressing rooms through a public area and then make their way onto this field. As Ben's mentioned, because it's an Aussie rules field, there are parts of it, the stadium, where the seats will feel quite a long way away from the pitch edge. But the players are out, coming out together. The Force won the toss, and I think it will be the Lions to kick us off in this game. By the way, the shirt that Dylan Peach, the Force winger, has designed for this one today, very French looking. It's a very blue shirt, but with big white collars. You don't get many rugby shirts with collars nowadays, but it's the sort of thing that you can see Stade Francais quite easily wearing. Anyway, enough of that. Let's get on with it. We keep hearing that the Lions want a performance. Ben and I are both convinced that the performance against Argentina last week was not as bad as Andy Farrell and the players keep making out. It was a stepping stone along the way. It's about being right for Brisbane. But they still think that they need to be better, and that will start in about 20 seconds' time. Ben.
The TV cameras here have just zoomed in on Finn Russell, and he's got the moves written on his hand. So that tells you that it's not quite second nature for some of the players yet. Obviously, Finn Russell's first start was involved, didn't get that first preparation week because he was involved in the Gallagher Premiership final with Bath. But I hope they don't smudge as he gets sweaty.
Ben O'Keefe is just waiting for the countdown, and we will be underway then. So it is the British and Irish Lions kicking us off, and Finn Russell puts it deep to the right-hand side where Ben Donaldson is stationed. Normally an outside half. He's playing at full-back tonight. Released back to the Wallabies to play for the Force. The Force have kicked it. Elliot Daly will take round about halfway, taking it to halfway inside of the Force half. Now Big Joe McCarthy of the second row. Good carry from him. Lions have cleaned out the ruck as well. So it's quick ball. It's Russell to Byrne. Lions going right to left across the pitch. Russell with a delayed pass to Tui Pelotu. Looking for him there. They will set up another phase. Thomas Williams just waiting. Ty Byrne is the man given the carry. Pollock binds onto him to try to drive him forward. Tackle is completed. Lions go through the hands. It's James Lowe to Scott Cummings. Winger to second row into midfield. Now Lowe's in at first receiver again. Gets the ball away to Elliot Daly. Lions have come left to right across the pitch. 15 in now from the right touchline. They're going to go back towards the middle. Russell to Schoeman. Schoeman spins out of the tackle by Sam Carter. Big second row. Now a big ball out to the left-hand side. Could have potentially been forward. Officials are happy, and Josh van der Fleer is making his way towards the edge of the 22. 5 in from the left touchline. Joe McCarthy, another carry for the second row early doors. Now a kick pass across the right-hand side. Russell finds Shin. Offload to Lowe. Lowe keeps it alive. Brilliant ball back inside. And Dan Sheehan, the Lions captain. It's a minute and 35 seconds. First try of the night. Force 0. Lions 5.
Well, we spoke about the Lions and their lack of fluidity against Argentina. no such worries in the opening couple of minutes here. Dan Sheehan, the captain, we said he likes to hover on that touchline, scores a lot of tries. And Finn Smith, having gone through the phases, narrowed up the Force defence. A perfect kick pass out to Sheehan, takes the ball above his head, drops it back inside to his compatriot James Lowe, who then takes on the two remaining defenders. And as he drags them towards the touchline, just manages to find Sheehan back on the inside, throws it out the back door, and no cover in blue shirts in that channel. Sheehan dots down under the post, the perfect start, and Finn Russell adds the two.
Dan Sheehan, we reckon he's only captained 3 games of pro rugby in his career. Leinster against the Dragons, November 23. Leinster against the Stormers back in January of this year, the first game back after his ACL injury, and then Ireland against Wales in the Six Nations in February. He's in. It tells you what Andy Farrell thinks of him. He might think a little bit more after that first manoeuvre. What a great start for the Lions. Russell's conversion 7-0. But Force have taken the restart and they're coming down the left-hand side. Opportunity for Tom Robertson, the loose head prop. Good work by the Force. They're only 10 metres out, left-hand side of the post. Nick Champion de Crespigny with the carry. Force will go again. Brendan Payenga-Amosa, the former Australian hooker, in with the carry. Now Robertson, the loose head prop. Lions need to man up in defence. They're going to go to the right of the Force. Lions come charging into the contact. Elliot Daly and Tui Pelosi making the tackles. Payenga-Amosa again with the carry for the Force. Nick White, pick and go round the edge. Tyke Byrne and Tyke Furlong get in on the tackle along with Henry Pollard. Force, pick and go around the edge. They're 5 metres out. 20 in from the right touchline. Again the Force, keeping it close. They're going to pick and go once again. 8 phases already for the Force in this. Now Ollie Hoskins, what a story this would be. His final game before retirement. He's taken it to within 2 metres of the line. The Force are showing no inclination to put this wide. They're going to go once again. Darcy Swain, very close to the line. There's a hand underneath it to stop it. Penalty advantage to the Force. It'll go into the back line. Donaldson, big ball out to the left to Dylan Peach. Peach manages to get the offload away to Donaldson. Mac Hansen might have caught him high. They are short of the line by centimetres only. Western Force. Nick White's going to dive and go through the pile of bodies. Does he get there? Yes, he does. Force were behind for about 3 minutes. And Nick White, the Aussie scrum half, a man who spent time in England, playing for Exeter in the Premiership. It's 1 try apiece. We've not even played 5 minutes. Force 5, British and Irish Lions 7.
Well, what a response from the Force. It took some scoring. The Lions' defence was good. All came from the error at the kick-off from the Lions. Gifted the ball to the Force with all the momentum running forward. And they hammered away through the forwards. Nick White had a couple of darts early on. And then, this time, ducks underneath the challenge. Just going to have a look, I think, at whether Mac Hansen's high shot here needs to be looked at by the TMO. Certainly, the fullback, Ben Donaldson, dropped to his knees. So I think there is mitigation if they do look at it. I don't think it'll be a red card, but Hansen might be feeling slightly nervous. I think Ben O'Keefe's decided that it's just a rugby incident.
Ben Donaldson, 4 in from touch on the left-hand side and draws it around. It's a beauty. Donaldson is the regular kicker when he plays at number 10. He only arrived back from Wallaby camp yesterday due to the injury to Kirtley Beale. He retains the kicking duties, and it's 4-7.
So he has 60 seconds.
British and Irish Lions 7. As I mentioned, 5 times the Lions have played the Force, or Western Australia as was, and 5 times they've won the game. And the combined scores in those: Lions 360 points, Force 30 in 5 games. So there have been mismatches in the past. That is why the people thought this might be potentially something similar. But so far, okay, the Lions had the opening possession and went and scored, but the Force have come back really well, Benko.
Yeah, we were expecting the Forces. The Lions give away a penalty for not rolling away. It's Tyke Byrne, very disappointed that black mark goes against his ledger. But we were expecting the Force to come out all fire and thunder. They've been talking about what it means to open this series from an Australian perspective. And they certainly, with their first try and their build-up play to it, have proven that the Lions just need to ride out this purple patch for the Force. They'll get another attacking opportunity, the Force, here after that penalty kick to the touchline. First line out in really good attacking position.
First game in a month for the Force. Their last game, as they didn't qualify for the Super Rugby playoffs, was on the 24th of May when they were beaten 22-17 by the Waratahs. So they are lightly used in recent weeks. Akawasi, the number 8, takes it into contact. And now it's recycled out the back. Donaldson with a wonderful tip on to Peach. And the Force are coming again. Will Harris, the blindside flanker, takes it into contact. Peach picks and goes from dummy half. Nick White's in there again. 10 metres out. Opportunity for champion de Crespigny. The young back rower was 29 yesterday. He's in the Wallaby squad. We may see him again on this tour. But the Force are 6 metres out. Now they've got penalty advantage as the Lions infringe again at the breakdown. 8 minutes played, 7 points apiece. Donaldson goes for the kick pass across. It's partially charged down. That is no advantage. And Ben O'Keefe, you can hear them saying he called ruck, and therefore the Lions can't go over the top and try and claim the ball back. And therefore it's a penalty to the Force, bang in front of the sticks, 8-9 metres out. It will be one of the simplest kicks of all time. But Ben Donaldson is looking to the side for the line out.
They want to capitalise on this momentum that they've got. Tyke Byrne giving away another penalty, 2 on the bounce. Just checking that one does go to the corner. Yeah, just squeezes inside the corner flag.
That was a clear message.
But
good message.
They were very, very fortunate there, the Lions. James Lowe and Ringrose, 2 international compatriots, getting their defensive system out of kilter. Lowe jumped out of the line, Ringrose didn't. That was where the initial break was made. And then Tyke Byrne, leaving his hand on the ball, trying to slow it down, gives away the penalty. The Force are going to drive this one.
Painda Amosa throws to Sam Carter. Sam Carter gets the ball in. The Force have got it moving. Schoeman's been spat out on the wrong side. McCarthy has changed his bind, I think. No, he's saying Tyke Furlong has gone in at the side. So it's another penalty advantage to the Force. Nick White will play it away to the left-hand side. Into the back line. Oh, absolutely smashed is the Force outside half. Alex Harford. Ringrose came flying out to make contact, but there'd already been the penalty call. The Lions, well, they're trapped in their own 22 at the moment.
2 crucial interventions from Ringrose. Firstly, just before, after the penalty advantage had been given away, he charged down when there was a crossfield kick on, and the Force could have got in, and there he flies out of the line, gets his man and ball, puts a big shot on him, and they come back for the penalty advantage. We did wonder whether slightly different interpretation refereeing wise there from Ben O'Keefe. The Maul had sort of spun round and the Lions players were on the wrong side, but for me they were entitled to be there. They hadn't changed their bind. He disagreed, and the Force will get another shot 5 metres out.
Reed Princip is coming onto the pitch in the back row for the Force. That is because Will Harris has had to go off for an HIA, so he will go off for the time being. Ben O'Keefe, 16 games this year. He did do a 4th game back in round 2 against the Brumbies in Super Rugby, and he gave 4 yellow cards to Force players. There were only 14 penalties in the game. Line out won by the Force, but it's tapped back loosely, and it'll have to be gathered in. So the Force have given up 5 or 6 metres. Lions, well, let's just say they were up very quickly there. Nothing given by the officials. Force are coming once again. Tom Robertson, the loose head prop with the carry. Now it's champion de Crespigny. Open side flanker, 7 metres out, just to the right of the post. Now Carter, final game before he retires. Another penalty for the Lions being offside. Free play. It's going to be a kick pass by Harford out to the right-hand side. That has got far too much mustard on it. It sails out of play. And that double blast of the whistle means that Ben O'Keefe wants a word with Dan Sheehan to talk about the number of penalties. Let's listen in.
Okay, too many defensive penalties down here at the ruck. And 2 offsides as well. The discipline, this one was offside. The discipline needs to be better. If it continues, yellow card. Okay. The guys know we're going to restart with the penalty.
So it's not next one is a yellow card. It's if it continues, there could be a yellow card.
Okay, number 12, moving back onside. Repeated infringements.
Yellow card. maybe not a full warning. So if the Lions can clear their lines,
Okay, stay back.
then the clock might reset a little bit. If they give away a penalty while they're in the red zone here, and another penalty under the post, shunned by the Force, they kick to the other touchline.
Yep, they're going to go for the line-out option.
It's Tui Pelotto, and he just strays offside. It's a discipline thing there. Just can't hold himself, trying to get forward and make a big tackle, and just creeps in front of the back foot.
Well, the Force don't really throw it that high this time, so it's Sam Carter still on the ground. He's a big man, he's over 2 metres tall, but he's had it ripped off him by McCarthy in the process. So the Lions have got the ball back. Tadhg Furlong it is. 7 metres out from his own line. Lions are still under pressure, they're going to need to clear this ball. And Thomas Williams will roll it back with his studs, and will now kick it clear right-footed. And it will go off the pitch. 11 and a half played here on Talksport. The Western Force 7, British and Irish Lions 7. Dan Sheehan with the try. Just over 90 seconds for the Lions to get on the board. But since then, it has basically been all the Western Force. Nick White levelling things up for the home side. And here they come again. Alex Harford, the outside half, takes the line-out throw over the top. Sam Carter with the carry. He actually played for the Brumbies against the British and Irish Lions 12 years ago. Final game of his career against the British and Irish Lions once again. Very few opposition players get to play the Lions twice in a career. 15 in from the right touchline on the edge of the 22. Force try and drive it into contact. Ekuasi, the number 8. Now it'll go into the back line. Nice little hands. Hamish Stewart, the inside centre, is tackled. Nick White offloads to Alex Harford. Tackle is made, and the ball is simply left there, and Joe McCarthy's the first one to spot it, and the Lions have gathered in it and stolen it. Tui Pelotto makes 15-20 metres, gets to halfway, kicks it down the right touchline. Mac Hansen's chasing. 3 Lions players there to make the tackle, but fair play to the Force. They've actually made 4 or 5 metres after the initial contact. Well, any thoughts that the Force would be ring rusty after the month since their last game?
No, not yet.
I think those cobwebs have been blown away pretty darn quickly in this one. 13 in, 7 points apiece. Ball goes up from the Force, taken by Elliot Daly. 5 short of halfway, 5 in from the right touchline. Henry Pollock knocks the ball on. I'm not sure that pass was actually for Henry Pollock. It was quite a long way above his head. He wasn't able to pull it in, so Force have more possession. Nick White's going to put it into midfield. And this time Donaldson gets it all the way out to the right-hand side where Matt Greeley is stationed, the right winger. Donaldson's got his hands on the ball again. Now it's Matt Proctor, the former New Zealand international. Found himself out in Western Australia, but has been hampered by a shoulder injury, so hasn't played a game this season until today. Force have lost it in contact. Lions have turnover ball, 10 outside their own 22. Elliot Daly will drive it down the pitch, down the right-hand side. It's staying on the dance floor. Therefore, it'll have to be gathered in by Alex Harford, and he's kicked it, but he's kept it on the playing surface. Thomas Williams on halfway to Finn Russell. Now James Lowe. James Lowe with a little shake and bake, fakes the kick. It is now passed to Ringrose, who does kick down the left touchline. Chases Josh van der Fleer. Force have gathered 6 outside their own, 6 from their own try line.
Okay, use!
First time that the Lions have been this far up the pitch since they scored. Slow ball, really slow ball for the Force. Paenga Amosa is given carrying duties. He takes the tackle. Nick White has the better angle, therefore, for his clearing kick. And that kick will come now and safely into touch on the far side. It is the Force 7, British and Irish Lions 7. And you are listening to our exclusive commentary here on Talksport, sponsored by Tenormen. Keep control.
You can have a breather now, Mike, because that was a long passage of play, wasn't it? That would have created a bit of fatigue amongst both sets of players. Good, much better from the Lions defensively. They looked a lot more secure. Good defensive set, made a couple of turnovers. They got the field position. They now have their first attacking line out of the game.
Well, it's won by the Lions, but not cleanly. It was tapped back by McCarthy, and they've lost 15 metres, I would reckon, from where the line-out was to where Tyg Furlong now has the ball. He's forced backwards. The Lions are now almost on halfway.
Yep, open up. Thank you.
Thomas Williams will pass to the left-hand side. Nice from Pollock. Tip pass on to Van der Fleer. Pollock's got it back and he's barreling his way forward. Up and over the 22. Keeps going. 5 metres out. Can he get the offload away? Yes, he can. Thomas Williams will score for the Lions. Second try of the game. 16 minutes played. Thomas Williams scores the try, but Henry Pollock's going to be taking the headlines. 4-7, Lions 12, 16 played on Talksport.
That is a world-class finish from Henry Pollock. Little 1-2 between him and Van der Fleer. Gives him the ball and then gets straight back on his left shoulder. Gets it back. There's no real options. There's plenty of forced defenders. He runs through the first Donaldson. And then as the tackle comes in from the number 10 Harford, he just maintains his control. One Lions support player overruns him. It's Finn Russell on his inside, but he doesn't panic. And he offloads off his back, blind, to Thomas Williams, who dots down. It's a brilliant indication of just how good a talent Henry Pollock is. The speed, the power, the handling ability and the reading of the options. It's a brilliant Lion strike.
Well, if he's trying to stop the discussion about himself and try and go a bit more under the radar, he's not doing himself many favours, because you're going to be seeing an awful lot of that. He's just cruising forward, and the offload, and bearing in mind how many unsuccessful offloads there were against Argentina. There were 9 unsuccessful offloads. There were 22 successful ones, that does need to be stated. But the fact to have that confidence to just play it away, and Thomas Williams on his shoulder takes the ball. 2 really good tries for the British and Irish Lions. They've not had many opportunities, but they've converted both. Now from the restart again, I was about to say Force have pulled it in, but they haven't. They've knocked it on the edge of the Lions 22. But again, that will be a worry from a Lions point of view, that the Force are very dangerous on restart.
Well, it's not a tricky restart. It's not one of these plays that they've been working on. It's a simple kick over Scott Cummins' pod, and that's the second one that he's misjudged. Dan Sheehan just giving him a pat on the back, and now the Lions have a scrum they're going to face. First opportunity, really, you'd think, for Pierre Schoeman to attack Ollie Hoskins. He'll want to get the left-hand side up as the Lions look at it for the scrum, take the ball away towards the touchline and put the Lions back row right in pole position to chase after this. Hoskins has lost a lot of weight since we saw him during the season.
He's half the man he used to be. His playing weight was listed at 128 kgs. He is nowhere near that. Ball is in, ball is away for the Lions. So the first scrum is completed. And it's Thomas Williams. Big ball out to the right-hand side. Mac Hansen is a metre in from the right touchline when he takes that above his head. He's going to have to go back infield, and he does well, right to the first contact. Lions are still only 6 or 7 outside their own 22, and they give to Pollock. Pollock on this occasion is taken to ground by the Force. Slow ball for Thomas Williams. Right-footed, the box kick will go up. Now that's not gone very far at all. That will be very contestable, and Joe McCarthy will gather it in, but the Force never got back onside the forwards, and that's the problem with one of those kicks that doesn't go that far. You've got to get out of the tackle area, and Sam Carter didn't do that before coming back in, and therefore it is a full penalty to the Lions. Benke.
One player that has impressed me for the Lions so far, that potentially isn't right at the head of the queue for the starting berth, but could be playing himself towards that way, is the big second row, Joe McCarthy. Taking that ball above his head and win the penalty, the Lions, but he's had a couple of big interventions, a couple of steals, particularly the one on his own line at the Mall where he took the ball off Sam Carter just as it looked like the Force might set things up. So big first 20 minutes for the big Irish second row.
Scott Cummings is the target for the line-out at the back, and Sheehan finds him. It's worked straight into midfield. Tuipulotu and Russell combine. Now Ringrose takes it to 5 outside the 22. Centre of the pitch, Tyke Furlong to Finn Russell. Nice delayed pass to Cummings, gets it back to Russell. Now to Tuipulotu. A little Scottish triangle for the Lions as they come across the edge of the 22 from left to right. From a couple of metres inside the touchline, the Lions will have to go back to the left-hand side. And it's Ringrose in the middle of the pitch, almost gets through. Force hanging on to his ankles to stop him going anyway. Now Russell pings it off of Dan Sheehan's chest. Dan Sheehan wasn't expecting that ball. And I don't know if Finn Russell, it was a timing issue and he was supposed to go in front of Sheehan, but however it is, it just clatters off of his chest and it will be a scrum.
Yeah, I definitely think that ball was meant to be faced across Sheehan, but he just slightly overran it. Got into the passing lane. Bit of a shame for the Lions. Really good few examples in there of Finn Russell's sorcery, his ability just to look like he's passing out the back but throw a flat ball very short, trying to overload defenders with too much information, too many options to read, and a nice passage of play from Finn Russell right up until that last pass that bounced off Sheehan's chest.
Back of the day's sport coming your way on Talksport and Talksport 2. Of course, England's under-21s in action this evening against Germany in the European Championship final. That game on Talksport. 2 games for you on Talksport 2 this evening from the Club World Cup. Benfica-Chelsea at 9 o'clock and PSG into Miami. That is the 5 o'clock game tomorrow. So plenty of live sports on this busy old Saturday. Western Force have the ball, 10 short of halfway. Centre of the pitch, Brendan Payenga-Amosa, their hooker, has the carry. It's fired back to Alex Harford, the outside half, who didn't really know what he was going to do. Thought about kicking, and then elected to set up a pod to give Nick White the opportunity to kick right-footed from 10 short of halfway. Greeley is after this one. That'll be contestable. Elliot Daly's underneath it. Offloads to James Lowe from a very narrow angle. What a kick. Oh, it's just almost a brilliant 50-22, and it will bounce and go touching goal. Well, it's centimetres away from being an absolute worldie and giving the Lions an attacking line out. What it does do, because it's gone out over the touchline in the in-goal area, it is a line out to the Force, back where James Lowe kicked it, so the Force will have a line out 10 inside the Lions' half.
So unfortunate for James Lowe, because he was bang on the touchline and he used his left boot. He's on the left touchline, used his left boot, but Banana kicked it round, tried to get it to bounce into the corner. Would have been a Lions throw on the 5 metre line, but just goes the wrong side of the corner flag.
Mentioned Sam Carter, and not many people get to play twice against the Lions. How about someone who gets to play for and against the Lions? James Lowe for the New Zealand Maori side. In 2017, played at full-back that day. And Elliot Daly played for the Barbarians against the Lions.
Elliot Daly been much more secure in the air, haven't they, the Lions? 3 good takes from him.
Decent scrum for the Force, no penalty, but the front rows go up. It is playable, so we will carry on playing. Matt Greeley takes it into contact. This is 5 outside the Lions 22. Ollie Hoskins with the carry as the Force come right to left across the pitch. Sam Carter's not playing like a man who is going to be retiring soon. He's had probably more touches than any other Force player so far. Force set up another pile of bodies just outside the Lions 22. Will Harris is carrying. Now Proctor, ball over the top. Out to Dylan Peach, and the Force are coming. The Lions to be really disappointed with the defence there. Peach got through, then the ball is loose and stolen back by the Lions. And Peach is not happy with the officials there. Paul Williams and James Dolman, by the way, are the men with the flags this evening.
Counter's over.
The Force get no love from the officials. Lions have the ball 7 metres out from their own line. 15 in from the right-hand touch. Lions lead by 7. 2 converted tries so far. And Thomas Williams, right-footed, will clear down the pitch to the safety of touch, and it will be a Force line-out. By the way, when we say the safety of touch, touch in these AFL stadiums is enormous. I mean, it's a short bus ride from the stands to the near touchline if you've got tickets on the sidelines.
It does make a difference first time you play in a stadium like this. The perspective for the hookers and for the line-out jumpers, for the kickers going for the touchline, everything's different to a normal stadium. We have seen mistakes made where the kickers thought he's kicked the ball off and it stayed in field just because it's so difficult to judge.
Well, one of the things with kicking the ball is they often say put it into the stand so that someone not involved in the game touches the ball, therefore you can't have a quick line out. But with so much real estate out there, the ball can bounce around, and therefore you've got to be far more alive, because if no one touches it, even if it's 20 yards over the whitewash, you could still have a quick line out. It's been worked into midfield, and there's then been a couple of knock-ons, and so we will have another scrum. Force will put in. Great attacking position this. 10 outside the 22, centre pitch. Sorry, it's not a force scrum. What I'm talking about, it's a British and Irish Lions scrum.
I wonder if Finn Russell might have a little go here.
Front rows have gone to ground, but the ball is playable, and Finn Russell puts it out to the right-hand side to Ringrose. Matt Hansen, chip over the top. Ringrose almost takes it out of the air. It bounces off of his chest. Now, does it take a touch off of Hamish Stewart into touch? It will be a line-out. In fact, they've called it a knock-on as Ben O'Keefe, so they've got a choice, the Force. Do they want the scrum or the line-out? But the little kick over the top from Mac Hansen almost dropped into the breadbasket of Ringrose. He was working really hard, but just wasn't quite able to pull it in, Benko.
That move, one of the benefits of the new law, the 50-22. The Force, although the Lions were deep in their own half, had to put more bodies than in the past back to mark that long kick. And as a result, Finn Russell thought, well, if we can get good ball off the scrum, we'll just go, we'll have an overlap. They did that, although the Force came across. Easy meters to be made on that right-hand touchline. Mac Hansen just chipping it ahead before Dylan Peach stuck his shoulder into his sternum, so he's just getting some treatment for that at the moment. But as you said, if Ringrose had been able to that ball stick into the breadbasket, the Lions were in prime attacking position.
5, 6.
Western Force scrum. Nick White plonks it straight into the second row, so let's not beat around the bush, but that's what happens nowadays. White will clear it away from the edge of his own 22. Matt Proctor with the carry for the Force. Centre of the pitch, it will go back to Alex Harford, who hits it down the pitch. Elliot Daly, 5 outside his own 22, will carry it forward just outside the halfway line, offloads to Mac Hansen. Hansen gets over halfway, 8 into the Force half. Tuipulotu picks a great ball up off of his toes, continues to the left-hand side. Ringrose stabs it through. James Lowe's after this one. Where's it bounce? It bounces into the hands of Greeley, and Greeley's going to come away with the ball. He's up to the edge of the 22, and he's still weaving in and out. Finally, the Lions put him to ground. White will clear away to the right-hand side quickly. Proctor gets hands on it. Now it's Harford. Puts it down the right touchline as far as he's concerned. Elliot Daly's underneath this. 15 short of halfway. Left-footed puts the kick back into the Force 22. Donaldson gathers. Bit of kick tennis for the next couple of moments. Well, Wimbledon is coming up shortly, so why not? Finn Russell will gather in, and the Force win the territory battle, because Finn Russell just pulls that one ever so slightly, and it will be out of play short of halfway, and the Force will have a line-out. They trail by 7. Force 7, Lions 14, 29 minutes played. This is the British and Irish Lions, exclusively live on Talksport. Don't forget, every game of this tour from start to finish, exclusively live on Talksport and Talksport 2. Force line-out has been worked into midfield, but it's been spilled, and then Mac Hansen tries to gather the ball in and isn't able to. He's knocked it on.
No advantage played there.
It got a bit loose, and it's that Matt Proctor who's got absolutely walloped in the ribcage to spill that ball.
Well, obviously, in these early games, we're talking about who's standing up and who's really starting to shine. Gary Ringrose's defence today has been absolutely outstanding. Second, maybe the third actually big hit he's made, and this time it's Proctor's ribcage that has taken the full force of it, and he's stayed down for treatment. But just as he tries to offload, almost like an exocet flying out of the line. His timing's been really, really good today, Gary Ringrose, and certainly he's got a few good green ticks in the column next to his name.
Well, the last thing that Matt Proctor needed was to get wallops in the ribcage this early. The last game of rugby he played was in October of last year when he was playing for Wellington against Otago in the NPC. As I mentioned, he joined the force but has had a shoulder injury, so hasn't played at all this season. So this is his first 30 minutes of rugby in a while, and when you're gasping for breath, you then don't need your ribcage being collapsed on top of your lungs. Half an hour in. What's Andy Farrell thinking then, 30 minutes in? Scored 2 good tries, conceded 1, and actually the force have gone pretty well. So where's the ledger?
He will be thinking different to us. We all want to see more Lions tries and everything. He just wants to see that consistency of them doing things right over and over again, making good decisions. Yeah, he knows that if they do that, then some of the flash stuff that we're all waiting to see will come. But at the moment, he wants to see the defence operating as a unit all the time, 100% efficiency. He'll want to see the offloading game being made at the right time. He'll want to see the shape. Probably that's an area that hasn't quite been there fully yet, is the attacking shape. So he wants to see that. We've seen glimpses of what Finn Russell can do when he's given that time on the ball.
Well, they've got a bicycle pump and re-inflated Matt Proctor's lungs, so he'll be all right to continue. There's the British and Irish Lions 14, 4-7. And here's exclusive coverage here on Talksport, sponsored by Tenormen. Find out more at tenormen.co.uk.
Crouch!
Scrum to the force.
5! 6!
Nick White puts the ball in. And it's at the feet of number 8, and it will be played into the first receiver, Hamish Stewart, the inside centre. They're over halfway, are the force. They're going to go to the right-hand side now. Donaldson gets the kick away down the right-hand tram lines, but Elliot Daly gathers the ball in, left-footed, gives it a whack. He's got a cannon of a left-footers, Elliot Daly. Force will return fire through Alex Harford. James Lowe underneath this. 10-15 outside of his own 22. Left-footed, he puts it down the 5-metre line of the left-hand side. Donaldson with a spiral kick that will come infield. Finn Russell will gather 5 outside of his own 22. Centre pitch goes to the right-hand side to Mac Hansen. Hitch kick from Hansen. He's taken to ground 5 short of halfway. Russell into the middle of the park. Joe McCarthy tackles. Lions will recycle. Tuipulotu and Ringrose. Ringrose gets the offload away off of the floor. Van der Fleer round the left-hand side. Tackled by Ekuasi, who force number 8. Now Schoeman comes back towards the centre of the pitch. Lions still haven't crossed halfway yet. Thomas Williams puts it back to Finn Russell. Little dab kick over the top. Drops it to the hands of Mac Hansen, who's over the 10-metre line. Far side of halfway. Goes to ground. He's lost the ball forward. It's been ripped by the force. Again, it looked like it was all going to open up there for the Lions. But here come the force. On halfway. Kick down the left-hand side. It will bounce infield. Henry Pollock's backing up with this one. Dylan Peach is closing him down. Pollock's flung it over the head of James Lowe. He's going to have to go back in goal. Will be tackled. No, but not held. Lowe will bring it out from the try line. Kicks it down the left-hand side. 5 in from the left-hand touch. Nick White will pick it up. 8 inside of his own half. Looked like calamity was calling for the Lions there, but they didn't answer the door. Proctor. 8 inside the Lions' half. 15 in from the right touch line. Now it's an opportunity. Nick Champion to Crespany. The open side flanker goes through. Tackled by Dan Sheehan. Donaldson recycles. Big ball out to the left-hand side to Peach. He's faced up by 2 British and Irish Lions defenders. Tyke Byrne comes in and makes an absolute mess of the breakdown, and the Lions have stolen it from halfway. Tuipulotu is going to kick down the right-hand side. Now Henry Pollock's gone tumbling. Was that just feet getting tangled up, or was that a deliberate trip? Ball will be touched down by Matt Greeley in goal.
Tuipulotu just saying that Ben O'Keefe needs to check with the TMO. It was Tom Robertson that just ran across the legs of Henry Pollock, the much quicker player.
We have no foul play.
Well, Marius van der Westhuizen is our TMO.
It's just legs getting caught up.
Well, there you go. You've heard the explanation. Just legs getting
legs just get caught up.
Tangled up.
There's no intentional foot out.
So, well, I've just seen a replay from behind that's...
Play the goal line, drop out.
Okay, let's go benefit of the doubt.
We've checked it.
If it was deliberate, he disguised it quite well.
Well, put it this way. As a prop forward, he knows he's getting out-gassed.
Well, 6 minutes left of the half. That was a very, very intensive passage of play, a lot of running, and it looks like there's a lot of fatigued bodies. Opportunities here for those with a bit of pace to capitalise on some of the fatigue.
Well, Pollock is one of those. He takes the long drop out from Nick White. Lions will recycle. Tyke Byrne. Lions are 10 inside the force half. 20 in from the left touchline. Come towards the centre of the pitch. Good clean out work by the Lions. McCarthy will pick. Tries to find some space around the edge. There's nothing doing there. And then Sam Carter just couldn't resist it. And then once the momentum and gravity took over, when you're 2 metres tall and 116 kgs, you can't stop it once it's going. And he just falls over and falls onto Thomas Williams. And it's one of the easiest penalties. Now, with 5 minutes of the first half to play, Lions have a choice to make here, Benke.
I'd go to the corner. Just... Oh, hang on, they're playing. Finn Russell's tapped it on.
They have. And he's over the 22. He's kept hold of the ball. Offloaded a metre short of the line to Elliot Daly. Who does he get it down? Yes, says the referee. We are going to check it.
Don't come in, don't.
Now there's a pile up. Because there's a lot of bodies in a very small area. And there's a bit of push and shove. But first of all, brilliant work from the Lions. They didn't signal shot at goal, which means they can take a tap if they want. And Finn Russell was off and gone.
Let's walk out, let him go.
Elliot Daly is the man who has finished up with the ball.
Grounding.
And as long as this is all confirmed, it will be the Lions' third try of the first half. Russell was shaping to kick to the left touchline, but actually sprints off and goes to the right. Can't get the offload to Pollock. Can find Elliot Daly.
We're fine. We've got it live.
Yeah, brilliant from Finn Russell. He turned his shoulders as though he was going to kick, and all the Western Force players started trudging towards that corner. He tapped quickly, went the other way. Big overlap on the outside. Kept hold of the ball for as long as he could as the Force defenders backed off him. And then as he gets tackled by Proctor at the end, just lifts it into the air for Elliot Daly, who goes on over.
Just confirm that as well.
And I think the afters was caused by a little tiny shove by champion de Crespigny.
Shove by 7 and 8.
And then
there's nothing
on Pollock. Pollock pushes him back, which will endear him to all the Australian public. They're already aware of this guy and all the buzz around him, and he's not shy.
Was 8 lines,
so he might get a few boos next week for that, but Henry Pollock not going to be pushed around on the field.
Well, Finn Russell is 2 from 2 so far. This one is 15 in from the right touchline, just outside of the 22. And takes 1, 2, 3 steps into the ball, sends it on the way, absolutely no problem. So it is 3 7-pointers for the Lions, and they lead 21-7 with just a couple of minutes or so of the first half to go. And just going back to that penalty, boys and girls up and down the country every weekend are told by coaches, you don't turn your back on the play ever. If you've got to go backwards, you walk backwards. You turn your back on Finn Russell, you are going to create a world of trouble, and that, my friends, is why. Force have restarted, short one to the left-hand side, and they've managed to regather and recycle. Here's Stewart on the halfway line, the inside centre.
Penalty only.
And I
this time wrong.
Was just waiting because Dylan Peach it was who took the ball in the air, and the Lions made contact with him from the restart in the air, and therefore it is a penalty to the Force with 3 minutes to go, so they've got time to put this in the corner and then set up camp, Benke.
Yeah, one of those penalties where you're expecting your side to be catching the ball, and suddenly a blue shirt arrives aerially and takes the ball, and you can't resist but make a tackle on him. Feet have to be on the floor before that tackle can be made. Might have actually prevented Dylan Peach from running down and attacking with the ball after he caught it, so maybe just a penalty is not a bad result for the Lions. But that Finn Russell moment there, you're absolutely right. I'd mentioned that all that fatigue on the pitch might create some opportunities, and often it's mental. When you're fatigued and you think the ball's going somewhere, you start trudging there, all you're thinking about is getting the oxygen back into your lungs. Suddenly Finn Russell spots a lot of the forwards just switching off, goes the other way, and the Lions get the try.
Line is well worked from the force by Ingram. Monson peels away, tries to put it into midfield, but offloads, and it's knocked on. Lions have turned it over.
Okay, hold it. No,
They are 5 out from their own line, under all sorts of pressure. Thomas Williams doesn't fancy his chances of the clearing kick from there, to ask Pierre Schoeman to just set up another phase to give him a better angle. 100 seconds left in the first half, and Thomas Williams will clear down the right touchline. It's into the arms of Ben Donaldson. He can go quickly if he wants. He doesn't want to. And the force will therefore take the line out. Lions under some duress. They have conceded 1 try to Nick White. 5 minutes into the game. But that is all for the time being. 5 in the line out for the force. It's to Swain at the front. Straight down to Nick White. Lovely little angle from Peach to take it off of Nick White. Now Peach is bumped by Thomas Williams, but not held in the tackle. So the force are still coming. Here's Sam Carter, the second row. He's tackled. There's more shoving and pushing from Carter and Pollock off the ball. I think Henry Pollock's known wherever he is in the world at the moment. He gets himself back into the line. The force are on the Lions 22. 20 in from the right touchline. Nick White gives to Violini Akawasi, the number 8 for the force. He takes it 2 or 3 metres inside the Lions 22. Force come again. This time it's Tom Robertson, the loose head prop. Now Stewart, the inside centre. Ollie Hoskins picks up the force to come across the face of the post. They're now 15 in from the left touchline. They've got penalty advantage. Henry Pollock was playing that on the floor. Tyburn picks up the loose ball and therefore forces the referee to blow the whistle and call the penalty. Oh, and Henry Pollock is going to see a yellow card.
That's a totting up penalty, isn't it? Because I actually thought Henry Pollock didn't do a lot wrong there. That was one of those dubious penalties, but the fact that the Lions had given away so many penalties in the red zone earlier on in the game means that Henry Pollock has gone to the bin. But Ben O'Keefe, the Lions need to react. He's not being helpful to those players that are competing over the ball. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and certainly harsh for a yellow card.
Did he then try and put his hand into Tyburn making the tackle? And because he's sitting on his backside, he's out of the game.
Okay, force,
yeah. Anyway, so the force have got one more crack before half time. The sin bin clock is running. They've got a line out 5 metres out. They've thrown to the front. It's won by Carter. Now the force have one more forward than the Lions do, so they're going to try and go through the middle of the pile of bodies. They're a little bit stretched out now. Who's got the ball? Front end, and it's actually a complete split off. It's Ekawasi, the number 8. Can he possibly get it down from there? Surely there's too many bodies for him to get that on the floor.
Vanderfleer that has saved the day for the Lions there. It's separated. He was the only Lions shirt left on it, but he managed to keep his hands under the ball, hold it up on his own, despite there being 2 force players there, and he saved the Lions.
Well, it was a brilliant start for the Lions. It took them only 90 seconds to get on the board through Dan Sheehan. He took a great crossfield kick from Finn Russell, offloaded it, and then got the ball back to finish things off. But Nick White and the force said, well, we're not going to roll over in this one. They levelled things up as White scored after 5 minutes, Donaldson converting, but Thomas Williams and Elliot Daly have also converted tries. Finn Russell 3 from 3 from the kicking team. Henry Pollock, though, sin-binned seconds before the half-time whistle went, so the Lions will therefore be a player short for around 8.5 minutes at the start of the second half. Half-time, though, first game on Australian soil for the 2025 British and Irish Lions. It is the Western Force 7, British and Irish Lions 21, Alfie.
Andrew McKenna and Ben Kay, great work as the Western Force walk towards their end of the stadium. They get a round of applause from a little pocket of blue along the boundary line here. They, I would imagine, despite trailing, will be pretty happy with that. Tighter perhaps than we anticipated. Ben, if Andy Farrell described the Argentina performance as unacceptable, how do you think he would describe that opening 40 minutes?
Well, obviously it wasn't perfect. We said at the beginning of the show we doubted it would be perfect. But the scoreline maybe flatters the Lions slightly, but they've taken their opportunities much better than the Force. They have had the kitchen sink thrown at them at times, and they've really had to hang on. But I think he'll be happy with the resilience and how they've had to dig in. There are things that will get better as the game goes on. You'd expect towards the back end of the game, as the Lions start to click and the game opens up a bit more, there will be opportunities. I think he'll be fairly happy. Plenty to work on, but I don't. They are looking to play. There have been good moments in the game for them. I think the one area of slight concern will just be some of the defensive system errors where players have jumped out of the line and created opportunities. The other area that needs tightening up massively is the Lions' kickoff reception. There's been a couple of times they've gifted the ball. 3 times I think they've lost kickoffs into the same area, and that's Scott Cummins that should be controlling that. So maybe just a little bit that will need to be worked on in the sheds at half-time there.
On the defensive side of things, I agree. I feel like the Lions have been defensively a bit messy at times. We saw similar against Argentina. Why do you think that is? Is that lack of game time together? Is it jet lag? Or is it to do with the opposition?
A bit of both of those two things. Probably more so lack of game time together than jet lag. The other thing is players, there's definitely in their minds, they will have been told, our Lions defence is all about line speed. So there's less room for error when you're flying off the line trying to make big shots, and that's that just little bit of connection. One player hesitates and another player doesn't, and he flies off the line. There's a slight dogleg in the defensive line. So these are all the little things. I think the biggest area of concern for them will be in that sort of outside centre winger channel, because that's a couple of areas where it's gone wrong for the Lions, and they're areas where you've got Ringrose and the 2 Irish wingers playing there. They should know each other very, very well. There shouldn't be errors between those guys. So, look, little bit of tightening up there. It hasn't cost them as yet, but certainly that's an area of massive focus at half-time.
And I suppose the nature of the Lions tour is we analyse everything. We're thinking of the test series. We want to see them get in a position where you feel they're really ready for that 3 test series. Are these little issues and things that aren't quite going right at the moment part of the natural teething problems on the tour?
Yes, absolutely. And it is just getting that sort of fluidity and confidence in each other, knowing sort of second nature what the player outside and inside of you are going to do defensively. So that will improve and will get better. And actually, if they have a good defensive set in the second half and a good defensive half, then they'll be able to use that and say, look, this is how we defended in the first half, but this is what we did at half-time to sort out. And that will give the players an enormous amount of confidence. So sometimes you need to make a few mistakes just to feel like you're making improvement as the game goes on.
And a word on Henry Pollock, Ben. Sin-bin right at the end of the half. Set up Thomas Williams really well for the try. A kind of mixed bag again, I suppose. Yeah,
look, I think the sin-bin, it'll look like he's done something terribly wrong. That was just a team sin-bin, if you like, for too many penalties in the Lions 22 when the Force were attacking. He was entitled to go for that ball on the floor. Maybe he just played at it a second time, and that's why he got the yellow card. But I think on the whole he's been pretty good. He had one knock-on which was very disappointing, but then he made up for that with the unbelievable interplay to create the try for Thomas Williams.
Yeah, Dylan Peach, by the way, the Western Force winger. Just see the stats in front of me. 9 carries in that first half, a couple of offloads, 70 metres made. He's been very good in that first half. And the Western Force, they trail 21-7 at half-time. But you just wonder what the messages are in their dressing room at the moment. Ben, great stuff. We'll be back with you very, very shortly for the second half. In case you missed it this morning, here are some of the latest sporting headlines. Manchester United have had an improved bid worth up to £62.5 million for Brian Mbeumo rejected by Brentford. Brighton have rejected offers worth in excess of £50 million for João Pedro from Newcastle and one other Premier League club, Talksport understands. And Josh Hazlewood claimed 5 wickets as Australia wrapped up an emphatic 159-run victory against the West Indies in the first test in Barbados. You are listening to the British and Irish Lions against the Western Force live here in Perth, Australia on Talksport. The score currently, the Lions leading 21 points to 7. Don't forget, Talksport, we're your home of Lions rugby. As well as this match, we're going to bring you live commentary of all 3 test matches and the tour games. Also, every day on Talksport and wherever you get your podcast from, every day on Talksport 2, and where you get your podcast from, you can hear Lions Uncaged. We bring you everything you need to know from inside the Lions camp. A big second half coming up here on Talksport. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back to Ben and Macca next.
Pass the strawberries and cream because Wimbledon's here. And to celebrate, Talksport Bet is serving up an ace offer for all our valued new customers. Just open a new account, opt in using code TENNIS5 and get a free £5 bet for Wimbledon. Plus, bet £5 on any sport at evens or higher within 7 days of registration and get 2 free £10 bets. Talksport Bet. New balls please broadcaster, bring it on bookie. Free bets expire in 7 days. 18 plus, see full terms and conditions at talksportbet.com, gambleaware.org.
When it comes to sports betting, it's important to cool off and play safe. Set deposit limits to control your spending. Set timeouts when you need a break. And set reality checks to know how long you've been playing. Showtime ain't always go time. Stay safe, players, at BetMGM.
18 plus, please gamble responsibly.
32 teams, 63 matches from the 14th of June to the 13th of July. Every game free on DAZN.com. That's DAZN.com. Free subscription required, no payment necessary. See DAZN.com for details.
Woohoo! Go grab a deal in the Go Outdoors Summer Clear Out. I've heard there's mega savings on everything you need to get kitted out for summer adventures. Hiking, camping, even paddleboarding. Better fly down there while stocks last. With your membership £5, T's and C's apply. Go Outdoors. Discover freedom!
That's not simple. That's not simple. Now that's simple. Hastings Direct Car Insurance is simple, because when life is this complicated, finding a great deal shouldn't be. Great cover, great price, and a great app makes us one of the UK's top choices when comparing car insurance online. Hastings Direct. Simplicity is the best policy. For verification, see hastingsdirect.com/verify.
At Betfred, we're proud to back British horse racing. The lightning speed, the thunder of hooves, the roar of the crowd. This flat season, Betfred are making history as the first bookmaker to sponsor all 5 British classics. Check out our range of horse racing markets, daily offers and price booths in shops and online. Love racing? Betfred. Selected races only. T's and C's apply. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
FIFA Club World Cup on 5. The world's best come together to decide the greatest club on earth. 32 teams across the globe compete to be crowned world champions.
Rodrigo, what a strike that was!
Watch the biggest names,
Mbappe,
the biggest clubs take each other on. Who will win the FIFA Club World Cup 2025? Watch, stream on 5.
The British and Irish Lions, the Wallabies, 2 giants of rugby. But when the match is over, the question is, who recovers best? ResMed is the official sleep partner of the Qatar Airways Lions Men's Tour to Australia 2025, helping players and fans tackle sleep like champions. Find out how your sleep stacks up with their free online sleep assessment. Go to resmed.co.uk/tackle-your-sleep and wait ready for game day.
Rugby rivals collide. The British and Irish Lions Tour of Australia.
A summer of hard-tackling rugby action.
The Lions fans have their arms in the skies.
British and Irish Lions live on Talksport.
First tour game on Australian soil. It's the British and Irish Lions playing the Western Force in Perth.
Low keeps it alive. Brilliant ball back inside. And Dan Sheehan, the Lions captain,
in. It's a minute and 35 seconds. First try of the night. Western Force. Nick White's going to dive and go through the pile of bodies. Does he get there? Yes, he does. Pollock's got it back and he's barreling his way forward. Up and over the 22. Keeps going. 5 metres out. Can he get the offload away? Yes, he can. Thomas Williams will score for the Lions.
Finn Russell's tapped it gone.
They have. And he's over the 22. He's kept hold of the ball. Offloaded a metre short of the line to Elliot Daly. Who does he get it down? Yes, says the referee. Half-time though. First game on Australian soil for the 2025 British and Irish Lions. It is the Western Force 7, British and Irish Lions 21.
The British and Irish Lions tour live on Talksport. Optus Stadium, the venue for the first tour game, and the Lions leading the Western Force at half-time. As we just heard in the highlights there, Western Force 7, British and Irish Lions 21. We're gearing up for the second half. A few of the fans have gone to get themselves a few refreshments. There's pockets of red throughout the stadium. It's only going to grow as we get closer to that test series. Tomorrow, we all travel and make our way to Brisbane. That's where they play the Queensland Reds on Wednesday. That game will be live on Talksport 2. And then next Saturday, they'll be in Sydney to take on the New South Wales Waratahs. So Dan Sheehan scored the opening try of the game after 1 minute. The Western Force struck back shortly after that through Nick White. Henry Pollock then set up Thomas Williams for another Lions score, and Elliot Daly scored the third. Back with Ben Kay and Macca in just a moment. This Sunday, though, from 8 p.m. on Talksport, you'll be able to hear the latest edition of After the Lights Go Out, featuring the England Rugby Union great James Haskell, always a good listen. And in a wide-ranging interview with Steve Harmison and Leon McKenzie, he discusses his high-profile marriage breakup, living with ADHD, struggling in the aftermath of his rugby career, and performing today as an international DJ. He is one of those blokes that has done a little bit of everything. That's After the Lights Go Out with James Haskell this Sunday from 8 p.m. right here on Talk Sport. And there's also a podcast edition of the show available now from all the usual podcast providers. So, as I look around me, the lights have been dimmed, the flamethrowers are going off around the stadium, and plenty of the fans are lighting up their phone cameras, building up the atmosphere towards the second half. And we've got a very busy day coming up here for you across Talksport, actually. Straight after us, Sam Ellard will be alongside the former Newcastle midfielder Kevin Nolan. And from 7 p.m, you can hear live commentary of the England Under-21s European Championship final against Germany. Plus, if that wasn't enough, we have the Club World Cup action over on Talksport 2 as Chelsea take on Benfica. That's at 9 p.m. It might be the summer, but the live sport does not stop across the Talksport network. Back with former British and Irish Lion Ben Kay. Ben, the Lions with a 2-score lead at half-time. For them, what does a successful second half look like here?
I think they have to push on. They can't afford to let the force back in, or it'll be a real sort of damp squib start to the tour in earnest in Australia. But looking at some of the stats, they didn't have a lot of possession, only 39% of the possession and only 30% in the Western Force half of the game. So that's what they need to turn around a little bit, control the ball a little bit more when they've got it, not allow the Force opportunities to get it back, and then they need to camp down and play a lot more rugby in the opposition half and keep hold of the ball better.
Well, the two teams have just appeared from the tunnel, so back to Ben and your commentator for the game here live on Talksport, Andrew McKenna.
Thank you, Alfie. The players have left the dressing rooms. The Lions dressing room, by the way, is one which contains a tribute to Ian McLaughlin, the former Scotland and Lions prop who was known as Mighty Mouse. Passed away last week at the age of 83. Well, there is a shirt in the Lions dressing room with the number 1 on, with McLaughlin's name on it. He played on the 71 and 74 tours, 8 test matches in those 2 tours. He played 30 times for the Lions in 2 tours. Tells you how many games they played on those trips.
Incredible, but things like that do actually make a difference, particularly in the Lions. It just gives you a sense of the history that you're involved with, and obviously very sad news, but also, you know, these players will feel like they've got a link to them.
Well, straight from the restart, the Lions made a mess of another kick-off receipt. It's through the hands of Scott Cummings, and Elliot Daly has to tidy up. This is troubling for the Lions. This is fairly basic stuff. Kick-off receipts is the kind of thing that you do every day of the week and twice on Sunday, and I don't think they've taken one cleanly yet. So Thomas Williams is a metre out from his own line and will kick right-footed. Right, Ben. Oh, it's staying on the pitch. I'm going to get your thoughts on that in a minute, but the ball needs to go dead first. The Force are coming, and it's coming through Matt Greeley. The right winger is on the left centre of the pitch for the Force. It's going to be Nick White giving it to Darcy Swain. Swain is stopped 10 outside the Lions 22. His second row partner Sam Carter is with the carry. He doesn't make any metres, and so we're back into the back line for the Force. Donaldson acts as the link man. Quick ball available for White. Tyburn is putting pressure on Nick White, but legally so. Now it's into contact. Schoeman's all over that, but he's cleaned out the way. Force will continue to come with the ball. Donaldson continues to pull the strings. We played a minute and 15 seconds. And as Ben mentioned, territory in the first half, 71% for the home side. This is not going to be changed after that early opportunity for the Lions not taken. Right, so it's been knocked on. It is a scrum down. Force will have it. Right, Ben, we need to talk about kick-off receipts, because at the moment this is not going well for the Lions.
Poor Scott Cummings will be just thinking, oh no, I am completely playing myself out of this, any hope of getting a Test jersey, because that's 4 now that the Force have won back, and it's just been far too easy for them. How do you sort it out? He is controlling that pod. As I said before, it's not like one of those things where there's a trick play or a shorter kick where you can't manoeuvre. These kicks are being dropped into his pod, and he just needs to take off in the right area, make it as easy as possible to be lifted by his 2 props. Unfortunately, that's solely down to him. It's not a team thing. He just needs to sort it out.
So he needs to communicate to the props going right, left, to adjust to the kick.
He just needs to plant in the right area to take off, and he's not doing that at the moment. He's not got the judge of the flight of the ball.
Well, from the scrum, the Force have worked it to the right-hand side. They're on the edge of the Lions 22. Darcy Swain with the carry as they take it back infield. Across the edge of the 22, Tom Robertson, the loose head prop. Now, Nick White's going to put it into the back line. Stewart, the inside centre, takes it into the Lions 22. They've gone across the face of the post. Now out towards the left-hand side. Greeley has got through the Lions tackle of Thomas Williams, and he's now 6 metres out from the try line when he's taken to ground. Payenga Amosa is stopped. Sheehan is in on the tackle.
Nick Rowe. Back here.
And the Lions get a penalty from the previous breakdowns. Brendan Payenga Amosa has cleared out one of the Lions players from the breakdown area, but he's done so by going around the neck of the Lions player, and therefore it is a penalty to the Lions. 3.5 played here on Talksport. Second half, first game on Aussie soil. Western Force 7, British and Irish Lions 21.
Yeah, TMO intervention there. That's why it took a couple of breakdowns for them to come back for the penalty, but that neck roll, it's so difficult if a player gets into position, in a strong position, particularly now they've banned the croc roll, which is going on the body and rolling the player. You have to clear out east to west. We're just getting a replay of it here. James Lowe gets into a really good position, just stands firm, and then Payenga Amosa just comes in and wraps around the throat and rolls the player off it.
Lions have just lost a line out. Force have taken on their own 10-metre line, and it's Matt Greeley once again. Had issues at line-out time in Dublin. Just lost one now. It's all the way out to Peach, left wing. He's tackled, releases the ball, gets back to his feet, then tackled again. Force to recycle. Ollie Hoskins is met. He's met by Ty Furlong and also by Joe McCarthy. 2 men of Ireland, 2 men of Leinster. 6 Leinstermen in the Lions 15 today. That is the equal most that one club have ever had in the Lions starting 15, equaling the record of London Welsh in the 1971 tour. But the Lions have given away a penalty themselves now, and the Force will have the ball 2 metres in the Lions' half.
Mac Hansen's not having his best game either. Dylan Peach certainly winning that battle on the far side of the pitch. Mac Hansen didn't get a decent shot on Peach. He's missed a couple of tackles on him, and this time, after the kick, having missed that tackle, he tries to run what used to be called an escort line back to give a little bit of protection to Elliot Daly. But you now have to make a clear effort to step out of the way of the chasing player. No protection afforded to the fullback. Elliot Daly takes it cleanly, but the penalty's already been given.
He basically stops a metre in front of Elliot Daly, which is always going to be called. Line out from the Forces over the top, and it's been offloaded to Peach. He's getting through an awful lot of work, Dylan Peach, this evening. In a shirt that he designed himself, he is doing it proud. Oh, the Force, they've got the timing all wrong on that. Sam Carter has knocked it on, but he actually stopped and stuttered 2 or 3 times, waiting for the ball to arrive. Lions have turned it over, and here they come from 10 short of halfway. It is out to the right-hand side. Thomas Williams takes it from James Lowe, returns it to Lowe inside the 22. Great ball back to Thomas Williams, who scores in the right-hand corner. His second try of the evening. Thomas Williams has just grabbed the back of his hamstring. Now that is a worry. And he's feeling the left thigh. He's got the try that makes it 26-7 with the conversion to come. But Thomas Williams sprinting down the touchline to keep up with the play. It started in their own 22 with turnover ball. That's the good news. Benke, we've got to be concerned about the potential bad, though.
Yeah, we have. There's some great interplay between James Lowe and Mac Hansen. First really time those two have clicked, and then Thomas Williams had to reach behind him from the initial pass from James Lowe, sprinted down the touchline, gave the ball back inside to Lowe. Just playing between themselves there, inside-outside passes, and it's as Thomas Williams dives for the corner and places the ball that he immediately goes to his hamstring. Doesn't look like a complete tear. It didn't look like in terrible pain, but one of those that certainly you'd be thinking Alex Mitchell will be coming onto the field. They don't want to take any risks of making that injury worse. Didn't look as serious as some hamstring injuries.
Okay, they want to make a sub.
Yeah, and immediately you hear Ben O'Keefe there saying the substitution's going to be made.
Well, all you amateur physios, it wasn't the belly of the muscle that he grabbed, it's up by the glute kind of region. Obviously, Jamison Gibson-Park's been struggling with glute issues recently. If you didn't hear the news during the week, Andy Farrell did say at this team announcement when he was asked by Alfie about Jamison Gibson-Park and Hugo Keenan, and the response was, all being well, they should be good to go against the Reds on Wednesday. But Thomas Williams has left the field, and therefore Alex Mitchell is on at scrum half. The Lions have taken a restart, everybody. The Lions have taken a restart. Scott Cummins has got that one perfectly. We've called out the ones that didn't go well, therefore we need to praise the one that did. The Lions, by the way, are doing all this still with 14 on the pitch. There's 45 seconds left on the sin bin. Mitchell gets his first touch. It's a box kick, and it's kept in field down the right-hand side by Mac Hansen. And the Force players are offside, and there's an obstruction by the player who shouldn't be there. Therefore, it is a penalty to the Lions, 10 short of halfway. Benke.
Well, a little bit better from the Lions. Obviously, the try was a big boost to them, but they look better. Firstly, the kick-off, as you mentioned, they just look a little bit more confident, a little bit more settled. Just wonder with that injury to Thomas Williams, sometimes the worst, when you're most susceptible, is after flights, after that change to a different surface that you're training on. And
4 and 6.
Hopefully, it might just be a little bit of a twinge emanating from the back rather than any damage to the hamstring itself. As Henry Pollock comes back on.
There's a whole stream of people in red shirts coming on. Andrew Porter's down there, Ollie Chesham and Jack Conan. So Porter is on for Pierre Schumann. They said 4 and 6. So 6 is Tygburn. No surprise that he's coming off, bearing in mind that he started in Dublin as well. Scott Cummings is leaving the field. He'll be disappointed, bearing in mind they've just got one right.
Yeah, his head as he walks off. He knows that's an opportunity missed.
And Tyg Furlong is replaced by Will Stewart. So 2 new props. And Jack Conan on at number 8. And Ollie Chesham is the back, and he's calling the line-outs, and he calls the first one to himself. 15 inside the force half. Right-hand side, Lions got a good drive on here. Dan Sheehan at the back. It stopped once. If it stops a second time, the Lions will be forced to use it. Mitchell will play it away, bringing it back in field. Nice combination between Tuipulotu and Finn Russell, but Finn Russell's pass then goes to no one in particular. It'll be backed up by James Lowe. He kicks down the left touchline to the safety of touch. 49 and a half played here on Talksport. 4-7, British and Irish Lions 26.
Just a little bit of lack of fluidity again there. It was the force defender, Matt Proctor, flying out the line, putting pressure on the passing of Finn Russell. He just couldn't find his target to kick into the corner. Now they'll try and pressure the line out. Ollie Chesham looks lively since he's come on.
A couple of good early touches. Force win the line out. And slow ball for Nick White. Keeps the kick low, so he gets plenty of trajectory and forward momentum and finds the safety of the touchline. So it'll be a line out to the Lions round about halfway. If you haven't seen it, I would suggest you checking out on the Talksport social media channels. Will Stewart spoke to us in Dublin last Friday before the game and told us a great story about sharing a room with Andrew Porter. But the problem is that Will Stewart sleepwalks. And apparently Andrew Porter woke up at one point to find Will Stewart standing behind the curtain for no reason at all. Apparently he has been known to wander off down corridors and has been found in the car park at the hotel once. So honestly, find that clip on social media. It is very, very funny. Lions have got the ball. It's Mitchell to the right-hand side. Nice hands from Daly, and Tuipulotu out to Mac Hansen, returns it back in field, and Gary Ringrose will score for the Lions.
Happy live.
26 points on the board, becomes 31 for the Lions. 51 minutes played. It is the fifth try of the game. 4-7, Lions 31, and Gary Ringrose is very quietly having a very effective game for the Lions. Good hands down the right-hand side once again, and it's the centre who finishes it off.
And a feature of the Lions' attack today has been that ability, the short passing game. Very, very short passes. Just keeping the shoulders square, picking off defenders, playing right in the face of the Western Force defensive backline. And that hand transfer, first from Tuipulotu, but the key one is Elliot Daly's to put Mac Hansen away. And then Hansen veers back in, takes out the last defender, and basketball drops the ball over the top. And Gary Ringrose, who's had a great game, is the beneficiary.
The conversion is added by Finn Russell. So the Lions are now 26 clear. 4-7. British and Irish Lions 33. You're listening to our exclusive coverage here on Talksport, sponsored by Tenor Men. Keep control. So the prediction was the Lions would win comfortably. It looks like it's moving towards that. The Force, though, have just regathered their own kickoff again. There's going to be some pattern work here for the Lions to do over the next few days.
It's a slightly trickier one, really low trajectory, kicked out towards the touchline.
So here they come again. Reid Prinsip is back on the field, having been an HIA replacement in the first half. He's now replaced by Alini Ekawasi in the back row for the Force. Ollie Hoskins with the carry. He's tackled by Chesham. Nick White, under pressure, gets the ball away. Nick Champion to Crespini. Open side flanker in the Wallaby squad. They've only got one warm-up game ahead of the test series of the Wallabies. They're playing Fiji next weekend in Newcastle, which is a small mining town up the New South Wales coast from Sydney. And having been there 12 years ago, there is not a lot there to do. Hello. They've turned it over the Western Force. It's Henry Pollard charging after it. He kicks it through, regathers his own kick. Now he's tackled, places the ball on the ground and can pick it up again, and the Lions can come. Chesham from 2 metres out, can't get there. Mitchell will clear it away to the left-hand side. Van der Fleer, big ball over the top. Joe McCarthy for the left corner. Second row will score. 54 played. The Lions have try number 6. 4-7. British and Irish Lions 38.
Another huge moment for Henry Pollock. Didn't look like there was much on when he gathered the ball. He just kicked ahead, and just sometimes players, everything goes right for them. The ball could have bounced anyway. He's actually losing the race back between two quicker force backs, but the ball bounces directly back to him. He takes it, as you said, got tackled, placed the ball and tried to go again himself, but that tied in extra blue shirts. So then it just became a case of, can the Lions get it into the wide channel where they had stacks of numbers? And Van der Fleer throws the looped ball over the top to Joe McCarthy, who slides in relatively untouched.
Russell from 5 in from the left touchline. It's an absolute beauty. Straight down the middle, and the Lions have hit 40. I know there are a lot of rugby fans out there, because I see them on social media all the time go, can we please stop talking about Henry Pollock? For goodness sake. But how can we not? They're convinced it's some sort of media campaign. How can we not talk about this guy when he does things like that?
We're commentating, and yeah, we can't say we didn't see it. It was absolutely brilliant. Again, 2 instances. He hasn't got everything right in this game. He's made a couple of mistakes, but 2 moments that have been properly, in a tight series. He does those against the Wallabies, and they're game-changing.
Joe Schmidt is going to be watching this very interestingly, because again the Force have kicked off short and left, and the Lions haven't been able to deal with it. The Force have got it back. They are under pressure in their own half, but again, that Joe Schmidt is a man of details. He is noticing this is in his notebook. We might see a bit more of this, because Simon Cron, the Force head coach, is going to be an assistant to Les Kiss in the Australia-New Zealand Invitational side, which plays against the Lions on the 12th of July. So you can bet the house we're going to be seeing this tactic again, because the Lions at the moment are dropping themselves in it on this one.
Again, one of those things when perhaps the little intricacies of working together, we haven't had time to do them to gel, and then a couple go wrong and suddenly the whole thing just falls apart, and there's nervousness, there's hesitation in that Lions right hand side pods as they're trying to deal with that kick-off. Again, the last couple of, as you said, low trajectory, difficult to deal with, but that's Mac Hansen that has now got to stand up. The ball's going flat and across the jumping pod. He's got to take the ball.
Force have just made a change in the front row. Tom Robertson, the Australian international prop, is off, and their scrum is going backwards. However, they've managed to keep hold of the ball and work it to the right-hand side. Nick White throws an intercept, and Hugh Jones is onto the pitch for the Lions. He was the one who intercepted, and he's kicked down the left touchline. It will bounce in goal, and Hamish Stewart will dot it down, and it will therefore be a drop out to the Force. But, well, there's good news as well. Hugh Jones, another of the Lions players who've been carrying bumps and bruises in recent times. Well, he was the one who got the intercept, kicked it through, and then led the foot race after it. We can see he's got still a pretty heavily strapped right leg, but he wasn't chasing after that one thinking about it. He was actually fully thinking about the chase all the way, which is a good sign. Nick White has gone short and contestable from his own goal line. Lines have gone up. Hugh Jones has been adjudged to have knocked it on from the tap down. They are brave, the Western Force, from their own line. That is a ballsy call.
They want the ball back. Good opportunity to make a turnover, and particularly with the Lions struggling dealing with kickoffs. No different on the dropout. They land it on the 22. It's Joe McCarthy who goes up for it this time. Maybe he knocked it forward as he took the ball arching backwards. And they get the ball back on the 22. Works perfectly for the Force.
Marley Pearce, by the way, Marley Pearce is the man who's replaced Tom Robertson. 21 years of age. Aussie under-20 prop. Scored a try against Wales under-20, actually, in the under-20 World Cup of 2023. Nick White leaves the pitch. The scrum half replaced by Henry Robertson. Another Aussie under-20. 7 Super Rugby games this season for him. So Nick White has done his duty. And Robertson is clearing the ball away from the scrum inside the Force 22. Kicked by them down the pitch. Elliot Daly will gather halfway inside of the Lions half. He's up over halfway by the time he's finally put to ground. Mitchell will clear it away. Lions going to the centre spot on the pitch. Joe McCarthy.
Okay, release.
Here's the one with the carry. He places it back. Mitchell goes to the left-hand side, but that space quickly shuts up. And James Lowe is on his shoulder to take it into contact. Lovely pick and go. Straight through the middle by Josh van der Fleer. Ankle tap on him, slows him down. Offload! No! Not to Henry Pollock. It goes to Ben Donaldson. Donaldson from 8 short of halfway. Kick down the middle. Mac Hansen's flying backwards. He's the one who gathers the ball in. He's tackled. Offloads it to Hugh Jones. Jones just calmly takes the tackle. Couple of metres outside the 22, buys the Lions some time. Mac Hansen will wallop it down the pitch, right of centre. It's still on the dance floor, and here come the force. Max Bury, who's on into the back line, and Henry Robertson though get themselves in a right old tangle, and it's a forward pass, and the Lions will have a scrum just outside of the Force 22.
Oh, it's a brilliant break from Van der Fleer, and him and Henry Pollock have been looking to link up all game. They did so well for the Thomas Williams try in the first half, and just as he tries to offload and put Henry Pollock through a hole, he gets a tackle from behind and spills the ball. And the Force attack well, but Mac Hansen's kick chase makes all the difference, forces the error. And the Lions benefit with a scrum far on the right-hand side on the 22. Ideal prime attacking position, as Finn Russell will have the easier right-to-left passing.
Gary Ringrose, by the way, is the man who's made way for Hugh Jones, which surprises me a little, because having Sione Tuipulotu played in Dublin, I thought it might be him, the one who made way, to give Ringrose and Jones the game time, but it's not. It is Ringrose makes way, so it's Hugh Jones and Sione Tuipulotu, the Scottish combination. Now the Lions have won a penalty from the scrum, and they have kicked down the right touchline. They'll have a line out 5 metres out from the right corner flag. Hour played here on Talksport. British and Irish Lions 40, Western Force 7. Sheehan to throw. Finds Chesham at the front. Solid platform from the Lions. They can try and drive this. Fair play to the Force. They've got it nudging backwards, so Mitchell's actually going to play it into midfield. Tuipulotu to Jones. Jones has lost the ball in contact as he hits the deck, and therefore it's a scrum advantage to the Lions, and therefore it was bouncing around. No real advantage. 4-7. British and Irish Lions 40. You're listening to exclusive coverage here on Talksport, sponsored by Tenor Men. Find out more at tenormen.co.uk.
It's a real shame for the Lions that you see that combination you were just talking about, Tuipulotu and Hugh Jones, the international combination with Finn Russell out at the back. Everyone from a Force perspective thinking that Tuipulotu was going to take it to the line and throw the ball behind Hugh Jones. He just puts him through the hole perfectly. It was a lovely move, but unfortunately, as Hugh Jones was tackled, just dug his right elbow into the turf and dislodged the ball.
Okay, good balance.
Well, Dylan Peach's evening is over. He's been replaced by Bailey Quenzel in the back line for the Force, and a change for the Lions. 61 minutes was enough for Finn Russell. Marcus Smith is on, and he will play at 10. So we read into that.
Well, 20 minutes or so for him to prove himself. I think the interesting things are Elliot Daly and Marcus Smith. I think they are potentially the bench fullbacks for the Test series. Elliot Daly's had a really strong game, and he can play outside centre, he can play on the wing, he can play fullback, so he could be paired with Finn Smith, for example, on the bench if Finn Russell was the starting 10. Or do they go with Marcus Smith, who can play 10 and fullback alongside Finn Russell, and then carry more attacking firepower in terms of your traditional outside back?
Henry Robertson's just cleared the ball away just out of the reach of Ollie Chesham. Finds the safety of touch. It will be a line out to the British and Irish Lions.
Let's go.
Their captain Dan Sheehan is still on, which means that Ronan Kelleher is the only one of the replacements who've not been dispatched by the Lions so far.
Shortened line out for the Lions on the 10-metre line. They've got Henry Pollock and Van der Fleer standing together in that double threat position. We've mentioned how together they've looked really threatening at the line, hovering in behind. You've got the attacking threats of the wings.
Andrew Porter just had to put his boot back on before he could lift at that line out. From the line out, it's worked into midfield. Mac Hansen's lost control of it, and it will be a knock-on just 10 metres inside the force half. Again, just a little timing thing, and it's just not, as we said in Dublin, the cogs are there, they're just not quite meshing all the time so far.
It's an individual error. You can see whenever anyone makes an individual error, the look on their faces, because they know how tight these selections are. Matt Hansen there should have taken that ball from Tuipolotu. Wasn't an ideal pass, but it's an easy-ish one to take, and he now knows that it's another error I've made tonight. Probably just drops me down the pecking order slightly. Saw Scott Collins leaving the field after the kick-off, shaking his head. Very, very difficult psychologically for these players when there's no pecking order, no real pecking order, or even if there is, you're not fully aware of what it is. So every little mistake you make seems like twice as bad.
Former London Irish and Saracens prop Ollie Hoskins is now officially retired. He leaves the field. Tian Tawikapulu has replaced him at tight head prop, and the first scrum doesn't go together for Tawikapulu. So it's a free kick. Force have worked it wide. Now, did it go off of Mac Hansen, who was trying to make the tackle into touch? Yes, he did. It is a knock-on into touch, so therefore the Force can choose. Do they want a line out, or do they want a scrum?
And to pat himself on the back there, Mac Hansen, although he knocked the ball on in the tackle, it was a good read of the play. Flew out of the line, stopped any danger on that left-hand touchline for the Force.
They have elected to take the line out. 5 in that particular line out. And it is Will Harris who wins it. Worked into the back line it goes. Little kick pass out to the right side. Oh, it's a horrible bounce for Matt Greeley. He was coming at pace and it landed on the end of the ball. He wanted it to go like a leg break. It went like an off break. It went behind him, overran it, and was into touch. So it's a Lions line out, and we're going to get the final change of the evening. Ronan Kelleher is coming on. So his first action will be to throw into this particular line out. So the captain is done after 65 minutes. Dan Sheehan goes. 15 to play. We'll do it all again on Wednesday with the Queensland Reds, a side that are one of the powerhouses of Aussie rugby down the years. Produced numerous world-class players, the Reds. It will be a step up for the Lions from this. They've scored 6 tries today. They lead 40 points to 7.
Just the danger it might peter out now for the Lions. They need to put the foot down on the accelerator, really finish with a flourish here. It's all easy. They know they're going to win the game. They have to have a couple of key moments, a couple of big breaks.
Tuipolotu with the ball to Daly on halfway. Now to Joe McCarthy. The second row's in the left wing position at the moment. Galloping forward. Takes the tackle. Alex Mitchell's having to work pretty hard to get that ball back available. James Lowe's at first receiver. The pass was a little bit short, but the Lions have gathered it in and they can go again. Mitchell, little double pump there. Goes to Marcus Smith. Kick pass out to the right-hand side. Lands centimetres inside the whitewash. Henry Pollock was looking for one that actually dropped into his arms, but it will be a forced line out, 18 out from their own try line.
Yeah, some good interplay. Joe McCarthy, barnstorming run down the left-hand touchline. He's played really well tonight. Certainly put his hand up. It's Marcus Smith and Henry Pollock not quite on the same page as the ball came back to the other side.
Line out has been overthrown by the Force, and it's Ronan Kelleher who's gathered it in at the back of the line out for the Lions. He's taken to ground 5 metres from the try line. Chesson takes it within 2 metres, just to the right-hand side of the post. Oh, it's been lost control by the Lions at the base of the ruck, away from Mitchell, and it is turned over by the force. Robertson goes back to Donaldson. He wallops it right-footed down the pitch. Elliot Daly, 8 inside of his own half, by the left touchline. Gathers it in, makes his way forward, does brilliantly, beats 1, beats 2, offloads to James Lowe. Can Lowe keep it alive? Yes, he can. Pollock is the man on his shoulder. Lions are 15 metres out and got penalty advantage as well for a high tackle. Bit of push and shove there. As it is not released by Hamish Stewart. James Lowe was wanting the ball off of him a little bit quicker.
Daly, another player that's had a fine game. Lions were unlucky. There was a clear penalty on the force line as they stripped the ball illegally from a ruck when the Lions looked like they might go away with it. But the resulting kick, Elliot Daly, great bit of footwork, gets the fend out, offloads, a little bit high for Lowe, but he did so well to keep the ball in field for Henry Pollock. And then a little bit high, penalty given away. The Lions can kick this into the corner.
We'll start at 12:30 UK time, Saturday lunchtime, starting off your Saturday sporting live dose with us, British and Irish Lions. Don't forget England's under-21s against Germany later on in the final of the European Championships. From the line out, Lions have penalty advantage. 5 metres out, 10 in from the left touchline. Slow ball for Alex Mitchell. Whips it into midfield. Tuipulotu drops it onto the toe, tries to thread it through. It'll ricochet back to Marcus Smith. It's now slow ball as Hugh Jones gathers it in. Van der Fleer will take it from Mitchell in front of the left hand upright. 10 metres out. That's all a mess. We'll go back for the penalty advantage. 10 minutes to play here on Talksport.
Side entry at the ball and collapsing. Discipline at the line out.
Referee just saying discipline. The Lions probably don't want the force to go down to 14. They've won this game. They want to be tested as physically as possible. They don't want any little assistance here. They want to do this the hard way and build a bit of confidence. Worth a little dab through on the floor from Tuipulotu with his boot, with the penalty advantage already there. He knew it was safe. They could come back for this line out in the corner.
Mitchell's lined up at the front of the line out with Josh Van der Fleer in the scrum half position, but it's thrown to McCarthy, off the top to Mitchell. Coming onto it, it's Tuipulotu. He's taken to ground 3 metres away from the line. Mitchell has hands on it to Pollock in front of the left hand upright. Lions are going across the pitch. They're still 3-4 metres out from the line. Now Big Joe McCarthy again takes it into contact. Lions now past the right hand upright. Mitchell is looking around. He's going to let the forwards have a go. Will Stewart is going to pick. Is he going to go himself? Yes, he is. Gets to within 1.5 metres of the line. Now it's Van der Fleer. Penalty advantage because the force have come offside. Free play. Pollock hands on the ball, goes for the line, doesn't make it. Lions will have to go at least one more phase. They've got the penalty advantage. Will Stewart picks and goes again. They're right by the base of the right hand upright. Goes back to Mitchell. It's Marcus Smith going back to the right hand side. Gives to Elliot Daly. And Elliot Daly will score his second try of the evening. Just like Thomas Williams. A brace of braces. And the Lions have their 7th score. 4-7. Lions 45. 9 minutes to play.
We can't have it to continue.
Yeah, it's sort of inevitable, wasn't it? Of course, we're creaking. Almost had the finger in the dam, trying to prevent the flood coming through, and Alex Mitchell darted to the wrong side, having had a couple of forward carries, very nearly get to the line. Saw Marcus Smith sweep round to the other side, found him, and then Marcus Smith just had to put the brakes on, tread water, and allow Elliot Daly to sweep round to the same side. Defensively, just held that defender, lifted the ball into the air for Daly to run onto and run through untouched. Really nicely worked from Marcus Smith, great vision. And Elliot Daly reacts the quickest.
Yep, we're happy to play.
7 tries so far. Forced kick-off deep this time. James Lowe, it bounces around behind him. He gathers it in and pumps it down the left touchline. Of course, the Lions left a couple out there in Dublin. The Luke Cowan-Dickey try after 7 minutes when he wasn't able to quite ground it. Duhan van der Merwe didn't spot Alex Mitchell on his inside shoulder. So they left a couple out there in Dublin. This occasion, they've been better. They've actually now got the possession and territory stats both above 40%, the Lions. So it's actually been the home side who have been dominant, but the Lions have been far more ruthless, and they've just stolen a force line-out. It makes its way into the hands of Ronan Kelleher, who kicks it through, and the force gather that up in their own 22, and the clearing kick will only go 6-7 metres outside of their own 22 from Max Bury. The Lions can come again with 7 minutes to play. Ben Kay.
Again, another quick reaction from Joe McCarthy at the line-out. He's the man that scoops up the loose ball, offloads out the back door to Kelleher. Prime attacking position. Marcus Smith would love an opportunity here.
McCarthy at the front. Spikes it down to Alex Mitchell. Into the back line it goes. Hugh Jones with the carry. Lions centre of the pitch. Here's McCarthy again. He is getting through some work. Mitchell does really well to get that away under all sorts of pressure. Will Stewart is the man with the carry. Force are told to get their hands off of the ball because it is a tackle and it's on the ground. Hugh Jones, a little bit isolated. Lions will back up and regather themselves. Kelleher acts as the link man to Marcus Smith. Tuipulotu to Hansen. Going left-hand side to Daly. Still 5 or 6 outside of the Force 22. Now Chesham. Mitchell snipes round the edge. Pass to James Lowe. Lowe wasn't able to take it cleanly, but fortunately for him, he didn't get enough on it to actually knock it on. So the ball continues backwards. Lions will keep possession. Ball out to Jack Conan from Tuipulotu, who was dying on him all the way. And Conan is frustrated, so he actually headbutts the ball in frustration because that was his chance to get a decent carry, and it's not going to come.
Skill sets haven't been absolutely spot on. And even not big moments like that, but even some of the passes have just been a little bit out of the prime zone, in and around the sponsor's logo on the shirt. That's where you want to be targeting. Some of them have been up around shoulder height. Just means that player has to check his run slightly, has to control his feet to make sure that he takes the ball. Some have been thrown down at feet level. We've seen some good pickups, some good skill reacting, but if you want that crispness in attack, the ball almost has to be on a piece of string as it goes across the line. It's been better from the Lions, but still not completely fluid as they'd want it.
Jack Conan does have the most wonderful moustache. It's the sort of thing Lord Melchett from Blackadder. When he retires, if he fancies a career in acting, there's a job, any sort of role under wing commander. Jack Conan is your man. He's pushing on the side of the scrum at the moment. He's lining up at the blind side with Henry Pollock at number 8. And the Force have worked it all the way across from right to left, and they're on the halfway line. Nick Champion to Crespini, the open side flanker, has taken it into contact but has lost it in contact. Lions turnover on halfway. Tuipulotu drops it on the toe and says, let's have a foot race. Pollock goes after this. Ben Donaldson's the man who's going to pull it in, but he's going to be enveloped by 3 red shirts. Lions back away from the contact and say, well, you can have the ball. You're 95 metres away from where you want to be. Force will go through another phase to try and give Henry Robertson, the scrum half, a better angle to kick with. And kick he does, but there's hands on it. Chesham has got fingertips on that one, but it's gone squirting away, and it's not been pulled in by Mac Hansen, and the Force are coming down the left wing. It went through the hands of Hansen, and the Force players coming onto that meant that they got the ball back. It's recycled back into the middle of the pitch. Donaldson, that's surely a forward pass. OK, we're not calling those, are we? OK, carry on, everybody. And I'm not saying it was forward, but Patrick Mahomes would have been proud of that one. Force have the ball, 12 short of halfway, centre of the pitch. Matt Greeley, right winger, in the centre. Champion de Crespini as the Force go further to the left-hand side. They're 10 short of halfway, 15 in from the left touchline. Opportunity for Petit Faifua, the replacement second row. And penalty advantage is coming, so the Force have got a free play. They drop it onto the toe. Max Bury's not able to pull it in, so we'll come back for the penalty. 4 minutes to play, Force 7, Lions 47 here on Talksport.
I think Andy Farrell will be pretty happy with that defensive set, because it was one of those loose ball attacks that against Argentina finished those off. I know the quality of opposition isn't as high here, but the Lions did really well to get enough bodies back into defensive positions and make an effect. Andrew Porter, the loosehead prop, the man to slow down the force attack at the breakdown. And although they give away the penalty, wasn't within kicking range, they obviously wouldn't have kicked for goal anyway because of the scoreline, so they now get to face what could be a final force attack with a full complement defensively. Everyone numbered up properly.
Tom Hawson to throw. Tom Hawson not initially in the squad for the Force. It was going to be Nick Dolly, the former England and Leicester hooker, on the bench, but he pulled out with a knee problem, and Tom Hawson, well, it's called a dummy throw. He didn't dummy it. The timing was all wrong, and he realised he couldn't throw it, and therefore held on to it. It's a free kick to the Lions, 2 metres outside of their own 22. And Marcus Smith is putting this up as a spiral bomb, as a contestable. Up she goes. Comes down on halfway. Robertson, the scrum half, is underneath it. Under no real pressure, actually. Gets it away to Matt Greeley. Greeley is tackled. For centre of the pitch, 2 metres short of halfway. Into the back line it goes. Ball over the top by Donaldson to Horton. The hooker in the right wing position. Takes on Conan and Marcus Smith. They make the tackle. Ball is recycled by the Force. Porter comes out, dislodges the ball.
19 red offside.
However, the Lions were offside. Ollie Chesham is the man penalised, and therefore it is a penalty to the Force. 5 metres over the halfway line. Lions side, and Ben Donaldson, right-footed, will kick this down the right touchline. He's going to be looking for somewhere you would imagine about 10 metres out.
Found it. A decent nudge to the corner there. Ollie Chesham, the man to give away the penalty, straying offside. He'll be trying to unpick the line out and have an immediate impact back for the Lions. Quite a leader, Ollie Chesham, very vocal.
46,500 people in Optus Stadium, the highest ever attendance for a Force home game. Tickets were fairly chunky, $50 to be behind the post, $250 to be on the halfway line. And you've seen a pretty one-sided game. However, the Force are coming forwards. They've passed the ball to no one in particular, though, so all the metres they made. Will Harris is going to have to gather up that loose ball. Here they go again. Faifua, 23 years of age. Faifua made only 1 appearance in Super Rugby this year, and that off the replacements bench for 20-odd minutes. Here he is against the British and Irish Lions. 40 seconds of the ATR remaining. The Force have gone across the face of the post. They're 15 in from the left touch line. It's getting a bit messy from a Force point of view. Everyone's trying to force it, if you pardon the pun. Ben Donaldson offloads again. It's a little bit hot potato. Now they try and set it up again. Opportunity for Quenzel. To the left-hand side they go. Donaldson to Darcy Swain. All the way out to the left-hand side to Proctor. Proctor offloads. But again, it's a bit of what the Lions were doing in Dublin against Argentina to no one in particular, and the Lions have turned it over. Marcus Smith takes it into contact. Henry Pollock acts as the linkman. Hooter goes as we hit 80 minutes. Final play then. Lowe gives to Hugh Jones. Jones fires it back to Lowe. Will Stewart, the tight end prop, knows one way. It is the straight road, and he heads to a couple short of halfway. Pollock is tackled high, so it's not the end of the game. It's penalty advantage for the Lions. Lovely ball from Daly to Tuipulotu. Crosses halfway, gives it back to Hansen. Hansen is now making his way to the 22 and gives to Alex Mitchell. And the Lions scrum half will round things off. The Lions will raise their bat on a 50 in Western Australia. One of the iconic venues in world cricket, the Wacker, is only a stone's throw away from Optus Stadium. The Lions raise their bat on a half-century, on a job well done, and Alex Mitchell rounds it off. 4-7, British and Irish Lions 52.
Well, a nice way for the Lions to finish, for all those Lions supporters to get that last cheer, but very, very loose from the Force. They were all over the place defensively. Some nice interplay from the Lions. Good ball to Tuipulotu in space, and then he found Mac Hansen back on the inside. Alex Mitchell, as you'd expect, the first in support, as all nines are.
And Marcus Smith to put the exclamation point on the performance from 12 metres out, just to the right-hand side of the post. He adds his second conversion of the game, and that is that. Western Force 7, British and Irish Lions 54. So they don't quite make the 69 that they scored 12 years ago. However, they conceded less. They conceded 10 points less this time. The Force got 7 when it was 7 points apiece after only 6 minutes. The Lions were 21-7 up at the break, but in the second half, Thomas Williams got his second of the night. Gary Ringrose and Joe McCarthy went over, as did Elliot Daly for his second, and Alex Mitchell rounded things off. 8 tries for the British and Irish Lions, 1 for the Western Force through Nick White. Henry Pollock saw yellow just before half-time, but even being down to 14 for 10 minutes didn't slow them down, and the Lions are underway on Australian soil with a win. Ben Kay, your thoughts?
Look, these games are always very difficult, aren't they? And we spoke about the opposition and their strength at the beginning of the show, and so you're almost on a bit of a hiding to nothing, and the Lions have got the result they needed. Big scoreline. Yes, there's lots to work on, but I think they'll be pretty comfortable that there was an improvement from last week, albeit against very different opposition. So much more fluidity to their play. The line-out functioned better. There were areas of concern, the kick-off in particular, but on the whole, I think they'll be very happy with that performance.
Full time then. Force 7, British and Irish Lions 54. Alfie.
Macca, Ben Kay, thank you very much, gentlemen. As you say, the British and Irish Lions up and running as the crowds start to head to the exits. Those wearing the red of the Lions will be pretty happy with that. Ben, 7-21 at half-time. It finishes 7-54. How significant is that second half for the Lions, just to ease any sort of nerves or tensions there might have been with the things that didn't go right in the first half?
Well, they won't get ahead of themselves. They know that there's a long way to go on this tour. They need to be a lot better as they face the other provincial sides. They'll need to be even better than that for the first test against the Wallabies, but I think there was definite improvement. They took their opportunities better than the Western Force, particularly when they got into the red zone. They were able to capitalise and score, and that's a key factor. As Macca mentioned in commentary, there were a couple that they left out on the field against Los Pumas in Dublin on Friday night. Well, they didn't so much this weekend, so that's an improvement as well. I think they'll be really, really happy. It's difficult, but you can't get carried away from yourself. This is almost like the pre-season stage for these guys when you're trying to gel the team together, and usually when you're at your club or you don't have those pre-season in front of the public. You know, you're allowed to make mistakes, you're allowed to get better as a team, whereas here it's very much in the public eye. We're all over analysing every single performance, every single factor of the game. So I think on the whole that momentum's there, it's going in the right direction. They'll just need to make sure that it accelerates, particularly over the next couple of weeks. These are the key points or key point of any Lions tour, the next couple of weeks, where you get real momentum behind yourselves, real confidence, but you bond together as a team. And the first steps of the ladder have gone fine for the Lions. It'll be the next things that make the difference between whether they come out on top in the series against the Wallabies, or whether it's a tour that is remembered as a team that never really found their rhythm, never really got together.
And what significantly changed in that second half? Did it just come down to them being more clinical, as you mentioned?
I think the Force probably punched themselves out slightly, which is always the case with these teams. It's the biggest game that a lot of these players will ever play in, and they probably just sort of played as hard as they could and maybe didn't have enough in the tank. So that was always going to be the case. Once the fatigue started to come in, there were going to be more opportunities for the Lions. I actually think probably the attacking shape of the Lions and what they created themselves maybe was better in the first half, but they were better at capitalising on the mistakes and the opportunities that the Force gifted them in the second half.
Well, both sets of players still out there on the pitch, exchanging shirts and having a few words. I have just noticed, though, Thomas Williams, who limped off in that second half, kind of limping down the touchline. It didn't look like his hamstring was necessarily strapped or had ice on it, but he was noticeably limping. How much of a concern is that going to be for the Lions?
Well, of course, it's a concern. He looked really, really good when he was on the field. The rhythm was good. He's had a fantastic season, particularly for his club, Gloucester. But that is a Lions tour. You are going to pick up injuries along the way. My initial reaction, looking at him and looking at how he went down, was it's not that serious. I think they'll wrap him up in cotton wool for a couple of weeks. Could very well be just a twinge from the back, and almost like a hyper cramp that he faced. So hopefully he'll be all right, because he is an important part of the squad. Obviously, Jack Van Poorvliet trained with the squad in Dublin, so he'll certainly be on standby in case the matter is more serious, but I think he'll be okay.
Well, the timing couldn't be more perfect, could it? You've just got a scrum half with a bit of a problem, and we're led to believe, as you alluded to, Alfie, that Jamison Gibson-Park should be okay for Wednesday. If Jamison Gibson-Park isn't okay for Wednesday, then there might be a few more concerns.
Yeah, absolutely. We are at this stage expecting Gibson Park to be involved on Wednesday. I suppose what it could mean as well, that if there is a slight issue there with Thomas Williams, even if it isn't serious to rule him out of the tour, it will mean that Alex Mitchell is going to get more game time, which is increasing his load, but also increasing his opportunity and his playing time for that test series. Ben, restarts, clearly an issue here. How do the Lions fix the restarts?
You can probably fix them in one training session. That's all. You have to sort of pay lip service to it, but the majority of those early on, I think, is unfortunately, it's horrible to pick one player out, but Scott Cummins' his fault. He's controlling that pod, and they weren't particularly alien new kickoffs. They're things that should have been dealt with. He doesn't take all the blame. I think particularly Matt Hansen on that touchline as well behind him missed a couple that went flatter, and probably Scott Cummins would have been there to almost be the decoy to go up and look like he was taking it, but Matt Hansen should have been backing up. So look, there's a couple of things that you can iron out, but at the end of the day, you put that red jersey on, you have to perform, and you saw Scott Cummins' face when he came off. He was devastated with how the game had gone. So certainly when his second row partner played so well, he'll feel that his chances of starting for the Lions in the test have taken a huge dent.
Yeah, Ollie Chesham came on and had an impact as well. Right, time now for us to pick our leader of the pack from today's game with Tenor Men.
Leader of the pack on Talksport, with coverage sponsored by Tenor Men. With Tenor Men's unbeatable product lineup, you get the protection you need for the lifestyle you lead. Find out more at tenormen.co.uk.
Ben, who is your leader of the pack? Who stood out to you?
Well, a player that on both sides of the ball was outstanding, and actually when the Lions were in real sort of, not real trouble, but they were under most pressure, he came up with a couple of crucial turnovers, but he was good with ball in hand. He was a tyro in defence, and I'm going to give it to someone wearing the best shirt you can have for the Lions, the big red number 5 jersey. That's Joe McCarthy.
It's an interesting one, the second row, isn't it? Because obviously Mauro will start, so what sort of second row do you think Andy Farrell will be looking at for the test series? I just wondered with his selection today, particularly given the fact that he went with McCarthy and Cummings, whether they are looking at that bigger, heavier, punchier second row rather than perhaps, say, a Tyg Byrne, who can play in the back row as he did today, of course.
Well, I think that's it. Looking at the fact that they've only got one sort of out-and-out number 8 in Conan, who actually came on in the blind side today, and they kept Henry Pollock at 8, that traditional sort of big number 8. I think they are looking at those sort of 2 more hybrid number 7s that we saw today. Van der Fleer and Pollock combined well a couple of times. They've obviously got Tom Curry to come into the mix as well. We haven't seen much of him yet, so I think that is where he's looking, which means he might well go for a 5/6 in the back row alongside them, which would mean you could take a Joe McCarthy, the big brawler of a number 4, Amaro Itoje as your sort of more athletic lock, and then you have someone like an Ollie Chesham or a Tyke Byrne in the number 6 shirt as your third line-out jumper, and also can give you that size in the back row that's probably got 2 quicker, more agile players alongside them.
Good stuff. That was our leader of the pack with Tenor Men.
Leader of the pack on Talksport with coverage sponsored by Tenor Men. With Tenor Men's unbeatable product lineup, you get the protection you need for the lifestyle you lead. Find out more at tenormen.co.uk.
And a big thanks to our commentary team of Andrew McKenna and the former British and Irish Lion, Ben Kay. They will be back with you on Wednesday as the Lions face the Queensland Reds in Brisbane. Don't forget, TalkSport has been your home of the British and Irish Lions for the last 12 years, and this year is no different. Live commentary of all 3 test matches, plus all the tour games as well, and exclusive content from Australia. Following us next, it's Sam Ellard, and he's with the former Newcastle midfielder Kevin Nolan. So the Lions are up and running on Australian soil. There'll be tougher and more important tests to come, but a win's a win. It's ended here on TalkSport. The Western Force 7, the British and Irish Lions 54.
Keeps it alive, brilliant ball back inside, and Dan Sheehan, the Lions captain. It's a minute and 35 seconds. First try of the night. Western Force. Nick White's going to dive and go through the pile of bodies. Does he get there? Yes, he does. Pollock's got it back and he's barreling his way forward. Up and over the 22. Keeps going. 5 metres out. Can he get the offload away? Yes, he can. Thomas Williams will score for the Lions.
And Russell's tapped it gone.
They have. And he's over the 22. He's kept hold of the ball. Offloaded a metre short of the line to Elliot Daly. Who does he get it down? Yes, says the referee.
Half-time though. First game on Australian soil for the 2025 British and Irish Lions. It is the Western Force 7, British and Irish Lions 21.
Thomas Williams takes it from James Lowe. Returns it to Lowe inside the 22. Great ball back to Thomas Williams, who scores in the right-hand corner. His second try of the evening. Daly and Tui Palotto out to Mac Hansen. Returns it back in field. And Gary Ringrose will score for the Lions. Mitchell will clear it away to the left-hand side. Van der Fleer, big ball over the top. Joe McCarthy for the left corner. Second row will score. 54 played. The Lions have try number 6.
Force 7. British and Irish Lions 38.
Another huge moment for Henry Pollock. Didn't look like there was much on when he gathered the ball.
Right by the base of the right-hand upright. Goes back to Mitchell. It's Marcus Smith going back to the right-hand side. Gives to Elliot Daly. And Elliot Daly will score his second try of the evening. Lovely ball from Daly to Tui Palotto. Crosses halfway. Gives it back to Hansen. Hansen is now making his way to the 22. And gives to Alex Mitchell. And the Lions scrum half will round things off.
And that is that. Western Force 7, British and Irish Lions 54.